Hello and welcome to another episode of the MVP Show. Today we have Aric Levin, an information technology evangelist with over 20 years of experience in software architecture, project management, business analysis, and business solutions, or business applications as we are currently in. He's a very interesting background in martial arts for 30 years, blows my mind. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guide.com/229. Now let's get on with the show. Aric, welcome to the MVP Show.
Thank you, Mark, for having me.
So, first of all, tell us about your name. How do you pronounce your first and last name, and what's the origins of it?
That's a little bit tricky because I usually tell people just call me whatever you want. The origin is Israeli. Working in the States, I usually tell people just go by Aric because it makes it easy instead of them trying to pronounce it the wrong way. But the way it's usually pronounced is Aric.
Aric. Okay. Very cool. So have you always been in the US or did you immigrate in? What's the story?
No, so I was born in Israel when I was about 7 years old. I moved with my family to Quito, Ecuador, South America. We spent about 8 years over there and then moved back. I did finished high school, did the military service, and then when I was about 22, I moved to Los Angeles, California.
Wow. Okay. So just to digress, because I've read books and stuff on Israel and military service, how did you find that? Is that a 3-year thing or 1 year?
It's 3 years.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I mean, the beginning was a little bit hard just to get accustomed to actually doing what people tell you to do.
Yeah.
But I had a good time. I mean, you create relationships that I don't think you have that type of friendships anywhere. When people are willing to risk their life for you, it's something else.
Mm-mm. I was reading a book years ago. I think it was called like Israel Inside, kind of like Intel Inside. You know, the old saying that Intel used to have about computers. And I found it very interesting. And they said one of the reasons that so much tech innovation comes out of Israel is because of the military service and the connections that you make there. And one of the things that in reading this book, I was talking about you're taught to always question authority or what's been said or done. And that's kind of like built into everything, to question it, not just to accept it as, with kind of like no justification, and which is quite different than a lot of militaries around the world, which always says you must obey, whatever you're told to do. Don't ask questions, just obey. And the book was saying that this is a reason why so much innovation has happened, is that, Israeli people are taught to challenge the status quo thinking, and therefore it comes up with new ideas to solve problems.
It's a different point of view what you're saying, but it does make a lot of sense. I mean, like when we talk about other Israelis, we talk about like an Israeli personality, and they're tough, they're rough, and yeah, they challenge everything.
I love it. Tell us about where you are in the world now. Where do you call home? Tell us a bit about your family and your life now.
So I moved from California about 4 years ago. We moved to the East Coast, New York, New Jersey area. We were actually, the town that I live in was ground zero for COVID in New Jersey. But our numbers are pretty low right now in our town, at least. But it seems like people are practicing social distancing and being careful. But yeah, overall, I live in northern New Jersey, and my work is in the city, in New York City.
So how has it affected your family with COVID?
Work-wise, it hasn't really affected me. I've actually had more work since this started. Family-wise, it's just having the kids at home all day and running around and, you know, having them work with Zoom sessions and letting them sit in front of the computer. That's kind of being the hard part of it.
So tell us about your career. Kind of what brought you to the point that you're at now in your career. What's your specialty been around the Microsoft Business Application Suite of products, and what took you on this journey?
So I started my journey even before my military service in high school. I liked like hacking and doing like some stuff with computers. But after my service, I moved to Los Angeles. I started attending school while working at the same time. And my first job here was working for an ISP, for an internet service provider. And it's interesting how times have changed. Like at the time we were building, this was right when the ISPs, we had like 30 or 40 dial-up modems in there. And we had to build data entry forms for people to register on, and we did that using C++.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I don't think like anybody would even consider doing that nowadays. When I was working there, I basically found a mentor. Um, he used to write security software for the military, and he gave me the push that I needed in general in technology and software development. So I think he's kind of what boosted me in my career. I worked there for a few years. I then had some independent consulting gigs and some executive gigs. I was working for Fox and some other companies in the entertainment industry. I guess that's what you have in Los Angeles. And then in one of those roles, in about, I think it was 2003 or 2004, I was introduced to Dynamics CRM, version 3 at the time. And I kind of fell in love. It's like, I can build all of this functionality without having to work about designing the user interface. What a time saver. So in around 2006, I went back to consulting, did a lot of things in the government space, other industries, and I've been doing consulting more or less ever since.
Wow. Okay. And I see in your profile you've worked for some very large, like Fortune 500 companies.
Yes.
So out of your career, kind of like what have been the big projects that stand out in in your mind that were like, wow, I really enjoyed that, or that was really satisfying from you as one of the contributors on those projects.
That's a little bit tough, but I think my last project was very fulfilling. I mean, I did multiple roles in there. I had both the role of a technical project manager and a principal architect for the city of New York. Um, I think the thing about this project is the entire city kind of decided, okay, we're moving to CRM, to Dynamics CRM 365, however they called it at the time. And they had so many legacy systems and working with such short time frames. It's basically we did migrations from Excel, from SQL database, from Oracle, from Salesforce, everything to Dynamics, everything working at the same time. And while we were doing that, COVID happened. So we had like we were building project after project in such a short period of time, and it just showed us like what's what's the strength of this platform. Like so, I think that's kind of my I think one of the biggest projects or one of the ones I'm most happy about.
So when you've been working with the tech now for a long time, you've seen Microsoft Biz Apps expand to be a handful of applications to 30 odd different, discrete applications that we have today. What excites you most about where things are going in Microsoft Biz Apps?
I'm just looking a little bit at history. I do a lot of integration work, like integration between system platforms and the direction they have with connectors and automation and now with win automation, the ability to take two disparate systems and find a very easy way to integrate between them. That for me is amazing. Like stuff that I used to spend, I don't know, weeks and months just trying to figure out what the best way to do it is. Now it's just like I would want to say almost plug and play.
When we look at what Microsoft is producing, though, as in from a platform perspective, so let's say the Power Platform perspective, are there any gaps that you'd like to see filled, or things that you think is kind of it's obvious to you that these need to be addressed to make the platform even better?
Well, I'm waiting for parity between the classic and the modern interface, but that everybody's waiting for that. Um, I think the one thing that I really have issues with it, I can't blame Microsoft for this, but working in the government space is we are sometimes, I don't know, 6 to 8 months behind or even more with what is available in the commercial cloud. And I think somehow that parity has to, or that has to be closed. I mean, I'm still waiting for the CDS Current Environment Connector to be available in GCC. Um, for me, because I work in that kind of space, that's something that affects me on a regular basis. Um, Besides that, I think AI Builder has ways to go still. It's amazing what they've done with it, but it's just, I think, a very small subset of the capabilities of where this can actually go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So true. So true. What else?
Um, I do a lot of work with Azure, but I don't think that's really the part of the business applications that I have. Um,
But it's hard for it. It's hard to do biz apps without Azure these days, right? I mean, the two really do go hand in hand.
yeah, I mean, they 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 are basically made out of Azure. Like you can't have Flow without Logic Apps.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. So true. So the transition from XRM, right? What we used to build any type of application on Dynamics back in the day, to the Power Platform that we have now. What are your thoughts on the transition of the last? It's probably been the last 3 years. This has all happened over.
I loved the concept XRM when it was XRM. I mean, the ability to just build any type of application on that platform. Um, the fact that basically it became CDS, it became like you have a bare bones system, you can do anything you want with it, and you don't have to have the sales, marketing, service modules part of it. Is amazing. Anybody who comes to me nowadays and say, "Hey, I need an application. What would it take?" I don't even the thought that used to cross my mind of custom development. I never even think of that anymore. It's like take this, spin up an environment in 15 minutes or half an hour, and you can show them. You can develop a POC in a couple days or even less, and show them like this is what it's going to look like. It it's been amazing. It shortens it shortens the sales cycle for people that actually, instead of having to go to a meeting and just tell them like, yeah, I can do this and this and this and this for you. You just come and show them like this is what I can do for you, and it's like a live demo. This is your application already in a live environment you can start working with.
What about the community? What's your involvement in the community? I see. Do you run a user group in your area? What's the story?
So from the biz apps, I think I'm one of the only MVPs in New York. Maybe there's one more. So it's in New York, New Jersey. It's a little bit hard because the community here is is not strong enough. Um, yeah, it's hard to hear that. Like we have some Power Apps groups and we have Flow groups, but I've been to some of those meetings and it doesn't seem like there is enough traction. Um, I've been talking to some people at Microsoft, trying to maybe see, like especially for me, trying to expand these groups and make a government group also, and um, it's been a little bit hard. I'm actually involved in other groups more than in other groups in other areas more than I'm involved in New York. Um, we had we had a we had the first New York Saturday last year, 2019, and uh, realistically, between the event was good. I mean, but when the number of MVPs in that conference were 1 to 5 with the number of attendees, it's probably not as good, not that good. Like in New York, you should be able to get a few hundred people easily, and I think I think we have to strengthen the community here. That's and it's been hard for me. It's been challenging. I'm working with a few people, trying to get help where I can, but I'm not. We're not there yet.
Mm. So what is the user group? Did I see it was what did I see? I thought I saw that you were connected with a particular user group, or is that just part of your personal blog, or is it the Power App UG.com? You're on there, right?
Um, I'm not. I'm not organizing any user group. I'm a member of a few user groups in the area and also the government user group in DC. Um, but yeah, I don't. When we have events in the city, like we're working on an event next month, like a virtual Saturday, New York City Saturday event. I think we're going to do Saturday and Sunday. So I'm helping with the organization of that.
I love it. I love it. How did you become an MVP? Like, what was the nomination process? Who was involved, and what was that journey for you?
So it's a little funny because the first time I ever heard of the MVP program was around 2017.
Okay. Wow.
I had, I was working too hard, never heard about it. And I think I stumbled upon it when I started answering some questions in the Dynamics community. At that time, I was working on a project from home with weird hours. I had time to answer some questions, and I got a few MCC awards. Uh, at the time, it was harder because you had to be the top 5 every 6 months, not like nowadays. Um, and then one of the long-term MVPs uh, submitted me, and I guess I waited. I waited. I wasn't sure I was ready for it, but eventually I got selected.
Awesome. So, who was that MVP that nominated you? Was he BizApp MVP?
Yeah, Andrew Butenko.
It was Andrew. Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I just did one of these podcasts with him a week or so ago. It hasn't been published yet, but yeah, top guy, top guy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the program now that you've been in for a couple of years, and any advice that you'd give to other people considering, if it was possible for them to become an MVP?
I think it's a little bit hard because it's not like a one size fits all scenario. Um, and the only experience that I basically have is my own because I don't really know what I mean. I know the other strengths of other MVPs, maybe like what they focus on, but I don't see you don't really see the contributions of other MVPs. You might see them in conferences and stuff. So I think for me it's like the combination of selecting multiple areas of contribution and not just one. Um, I know there's a lot of people that, for example, just do one thing, either just have a blog or just do forums. And from what I've understood, that was never enough. So if you have like a primary focus, but also have additional areas of contribution, I think that would probably be a little bit better or give you better chances to getting elected into this. So if you do videos, but also do blogging and forums and events and so on, I think that would be better on your profile. And I think the main thing is make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Because if you're doing it for the title, you're probably not gonna. You might get it eventually, but you're not gonna last long. And we'll see, how long I last here. But but it's all about the community. It's all about how you're helping the community and not really helping yourself out here.
Well, our time's already gone, and of course, I know what you're saying. Tomorrow, the day we're recording this, is one day before you and I both find out whether we get renewed for another year. And so we wait and see. And if you're awarded tomorrow, congratulations. And cheers. Let's see what happens. But let's have I always like to wrap up with some quick fire random questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, here's your first one. What were the 3 biggest turning points in your life?
Kids, hockey, and I would say martial arts.
Wow, okay. What's the last thing you completed on your bucket list?
I think I need to make a bucket list before I actually complete something on my bucket list.
Fair enough. If you could only eat one meal every day for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Steak.
Nice. What's the last random thing that made you smile?
Probably watching my kids score a goal in ice hockey.
Nice. Would you rather die before your partner or after?
Probably before.
What's the best job you've ever had?
I did martial arts for about 30 years. So I think I was a full-time martial arts instructor. And that was like, this was a long time ago, but I think that was like really fun. I didn't concentrate on anything else, didn't worry about work, or it was just doing the stuff that I really love.
Wow. Tell me, what was the martial art?
I do Japanese karate. I did some that for about 30 years, and I did some Brazilian jiu-jitsu for a few years as well.
Awesome, man. That is incredible. I knew that you had in your iconography on your Twitter account or something like that, I'd seen that you there's a is that Bruce Lee doing karate, or is that you?
No, that's actually, that picture's my teacher.
Ah, wow, your sensei. Very
Like,
cool.
a not a picture, but like kind of like a hologram or something. I don't know what it's called.
Aric, has been great having you on the show. Before you go, if people want to follow you on the social media, where can they find you? So
I am on LinkedIn. I have my own blog, and I only joined Twitter last year for the first time.
Hey, thanks again for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have not heard about the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, it's a free program I run each year to help people advance in their career in Microsoft Biz Apps. If this is something that you'd be interested in, the enrollment and intake form is open for the next intake, so you can go to nz365guy.com/90 DAYMC 90-Day Mentoring Challenge. Or you can just go to my website and click up on coaching and mentoring, and you'll see the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge if you're interested. Remember, full show notes can be found at nz365guy.com/229. See ya next time.